So China just released an image that has every astronomer on Earth completely baffled. And I mean completely. We are talking about the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system. The Chinese Space Agency captured actual photographs of this thing using their new Deep Space Observation Network. And what they found does not match anything we have ever seen before. Not asteroids, not comets, not space debris. Nothing in our catalog comes close. NASA received the data 3 days after China published it. The response from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was essentially radio silence, followed by a vague statement about needing more time to analyze the findings. That alone should tell you something massive is happening. When NASA goes quiet after seeing images of an interstellar visitor, it means they genuinely do not know what they are looking at. The object is officially designated 3I/ATLAS. The I stands for interstellar. The number 3 means this is only the third object we have confirmed came from outside our solar system. The first was Oumuamua back in 2017. The second was Comet 2I/Borisov in 2019. Now we have 3I/ATLAS. And unlike the first two, this one decided to slow down. Let me repeat that because it is absolutely critical. This object slowed down. Interstellar objects do not slow down. They come screaming into our solar system at tens of kilometers per second. They whip around the sun using its gravity as a slingshot. Then they shoot back out into deep space. That is what physics demands. That is what every model predicts. Except 3I/ATLAS did not follow the script. Chinese astronomers first spotted it in August 2024 using the Sky Survey Telescope Array. This is a network of robotic telescopes spread across western China, specifically designed to catch fast-moving objects. The array can scan huge sections of sky every night, looking for anything that moves differently than known asteroids or satellites. When the system flagged 3I/ATLAS, the initial assumption was a data error. Objects do not just drift into the solar system at the speed this thing was traveling, but the detection was real. Multiple telescopes confirmed it. The object was moving at roughly 28 kilometers per second relative to the sun. That is fast by Earth standards, but incredibly slow for an interstellar visitor. Oumuamua was clocking about 87 kilometers per second when it passed through. Borisov came in at around 32 kilometers per second. So 3I/ATLAS was already weird, just based on velocity alone. Then came the trajectory analysis. When you plot the path of an interstellar object, you can trace it backward to figure out where it came from. Oumuamua likely originated from the Lyra constellation area. Borisov probably came from a binary star system in Cassiopeia. Both of those origins make sense based on stellar population and galactic motion. But when astronomers traced 3I/ATLAS backward, they got nothing. The trajectory does not point to any specific star system within 300 light-years. It is like the object materialized out of empty space. That raised immediate red flags. Interstellar space is not empty exactly, but it is close. The odds of an object forming in the void between stars and then randomly wandering into our solar system are essentially zero. So, where did this thing come from? Nobody knows. The trajectory data simply does not add up, no matter how many times you run the calculations. Chinese scientists requested time on their Tianwen deep space imaging platform. This is basically China's answer to Hubble, but designed specifically for tracking objects in our solar system and beyond. In November 2024, they locked onto 3I/ATLAS and started taking pictures, high-resolution images, spectrographic analysis, thermal readings, everything. What they saw made no sense. The object is not round. It is not elongated like Oumuamua. It is not a ball of ice and rock like Borisov. The shape defies easy description. The best comparison scientists came up with is a geometric fractal. Imagine a three-dimensional snowflake made of sharp angles and flat surfaces that repeat at different scales. Except snowflakes form through crystallization in specific conditions. This thing is flying through space. The surface is another mystery. Most asteroids are dark. They reflect maybe 5 to 10% of the light that hits them. Comets can be brighter when they are outgassing, but they still follow predictable patterns. 3I/ATLAS reflects light in a way that suggests the surface is either highly polished or made of something with unusual optical properties. Some sections of the object reflect nearly 40% of incoming light. That is mirror-level reflectivity. Natural space rocks do not do that. Then there is the rotation, or rather, the lack of it. Every object in space rotates. Asteroids tumble. Comets spin. It is basic physics. When an object forms or gets ejected from a system, it picks up angular momentum. That spin persists basically forever in the vacuum of space. 3I/ATLAS does not appear to rotate at all. Multiple observations over several weeks show the same face always pointing in the same direction relative to the Sun. That suggests either active stabilization or a rotation period so long we have not detected it yet. Either option is bizarre. NASA finally broke their silence in December 2024. They published a brief statement acknowledging the Chinese findings and confirming that Hubble had also imaged the object. NASA's images matched what China reported: the shape, the reflectivity, the lack of obvious rotation. But NASA's statement included one additional detail that sent the astronomy community into chaos. Hubble detected a faint but measurable thermal signature that does not match reflected sunlight. In simple terms, the object is slightly warmer than it should be. When you are millions of kilometers from the Sun, you cool down to background temperature pretty fast, around -270 degrees Celsius. But 3I/ATLAS is registering a few degrees warmer. Not much, maybe 5 or 10 degrees. But that tiny difference implies an internal heat source, either radioactive decay or something else generating energy inside the object. Radioactive decay is possible. Some asteroids contain uranium or thorium. Those elements decay slowly over billions of years, producing heat. But the amount of heat 3I/ATLAS is emitting suggests a lot of radioactive material, more than we typically find in natural objects. That means either this thing came from a very unusual formation environment or something else is happening. The something else option is what has everyone nervous. When you combine the geometric shape, the high reflectivity, the lack of rotation, and the internal heat source, you start getting a profile that does not look natural. You start getting a profile that looks designed. And that is where the conversation gets uncomfortable for scientists, because the moment you say designed, you open the door to possibilities that most astronomers prefer to avoid. Let me be very clear. No credible scientist is saying 3I/ATLAS is alien technology. Not officially. But plenty of researchers are quietly running calculations to see if the object could be artificial. And those calculations are not ruling it out. The shape could be a solar sail or a probe designed to minimize drag. The reflectivity could be a metallic hull. The lack of rotation could be active stabilization. The heat could be a power source. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb already went on record saying 3I/ATLAS deserves serious consideration as a potential artifact. Loeb is the same scientist who argued Oumuamua might be a light sail from another civilization. Most of his colleagues dismiss that idea, but Loeb points out that we have 0 examples of confirmed interstellar objects to compare against. We do not know what natural interstellar debris looks like. For all we know, geometric fractal shapes with mirror surfaces are common out there. Or, for all we know, they are impossible without technology. China released a second set of images in January 2025. These were taken using a different telescope with higher resolution. The new images show surface details that were invisible in the first batch, and those details are absolutely haunting. The object has seams, not cracks, not impact scars, seams, straight lines running across the surface in regular patterns, like panels fitted together. Natural objects do not have seams. Rocks fracture along irregular lines based on internal stress and mineral composition. Ice cracks randomly based on temperature changes. But 3I/Atlas has features that look machined. Geometric patterns, right angles, parallel lines. All the things you see in manufactured objects and never see in asteroids. NASA responded by requesting emergency observation time on the James Webb Space Telescope. This is not something they do lightly. James Webb's schedule is booked years in advance. Getting priority time means convincing a review board that your target is critically important. NASA made that case. In February 2025, James Webb turned its instruments toward 3IA/Atlas. The James Webb observations have not been made public yet. NASA said they are still analyzing the data, but leaks from inside the Jet Propulsion Laboratory suggest the Webb images show even more detail. And that detail is apparently so strange that NASA convened a closed-door meeting with top researchers to discuss what to do with the information. When space agencies start having secret meetings about an object floating through the solar system, you know something big is happening. So what do we actually know for certain at this point? We know 3I/Atlas is real. We know it came from interstellar space based on its trajectory and velocity. We know it has an unusual shape that does not match known asteroids or comets. We know it reflects more light than typical space rocks. We know it emits a small amount of heat. We know it has surface features that look geometric. And we know it slowed down after entering our solar system. That last point is the most troubling. Multiple tracking stations have confirmed the velocity decrease. When 3I/Atlas first entered detectable range, it was moving at 28 kilometers per second. By December, it had slowed to 26 kilometers per second. By February, it was down to 24 kilometers per second. That is a measurable deceleration with no obvious cause. Objects do not slow down in space unless something acts on them. Atmospheric drag can slow things down, but 3I/Atlas is way out past Mars, where there is no atmosphere. Gravitational interactions can change velocity, but the math does not work out. The sun's gravity should accelerate the object as it falls inward, not slow it down. Outgassing from a comet can provide thrust, but 3I/Atlas shows no outgassing tail or coma. So what is slowing it down? One possibility is solar radiation pressure. Light from the sun carries momentum. When photons hit an object, they transfer a tiny push. For something with a large surface area and low mass, that push can be significant. But the calculations show 3I/Atlas is too massive for solar radiation alone to explain the deceleration. You would need a surface area hundreds of times larger, or a mass hundreds of times smaller. Unless the object is hollow. A hollow shell with a large surface area and minimal mass could absolutely slow down from radiation pressure. But natural objects are not hollow. They are solid rock or ice or metal. Hollow objects require intentional construction. And now, we are back to the artifact hypothesis. Some researchers proposed an alternative explanation. Maybe 3I/Atlas is not slowing down. Maybe it is maneuvering. If the object has any kind of propulsion system, even a tiny one, it could adjust its trajectory in ways that look like deceleration from our perspective. This would explain why the trajectory does not trace back to a clear origin point. If the object changed course multiple times on its journey through interstellar space, then backtracking becomes impossible. But propulsion implies control. Control implies intelligence. And intelligence implies we are looking at something built by someone. The logic chain is unavoidable once you start down that path. Either 3I/ATLAS is an incredibly weird natural object that happens to mimic artificial characteristics, or it is actually artificial. There is no comfortable middle ground. China announced in March 2025 that they are planning a flyby mission, a small probe launched on a fast trajectory to intercept 3I/ATLAS before it leaves the inner solar system. The probe would carry cameras, spectrometers, and a magnetometer. If approved and launched quickly, the probe could reach the object by late 2026. That would give humanity our first close-up look at an interstellar visitor. NASA immediately said they want in on the mission. So did the European Space Agency. Russia offered to contribute launch capabilities. Japan volunteered their deep space communication network. Suddenly, every major space agency on Earth wants a piece of this mission. That level of international cooperation happens maybe once a decade. The fact that it is happening now over 3I/ATLAS tells you how serious the scientific community considers this object. But there is a problem. 3I/ATLAS is leaving. Its current trajectory will take it out past Jupiter's orbit by mid-2026. After that, it'll head back into interstellar space, and we will lose it forever. Any mission needs to launch soon, or we miss our chance. China is pushing for a launch in summer 2025. That gives them maybe 18 months to design, build, test, and launch a probe. It is an insane timeline, but possible if they prioritize it above everything else. What happens? If the probe reaches 3I/ATLAS and confirms it is artificial, what then? First contact protocols are mostly theoretical. We have guidelines for what to do if we receive a radio signal from space. We do not really have guidelines for what to do if we find a derelict alien probe drifting through our solar system. Do we try to communicate with it? Do we bring it back to Earth for study? Do we leave it alone? And what if it is not derelict? What if it is still active? The heat signature suggests something inside is working. The deceleration suggests possible control systems. If the object is aware of our presence, it has not responded yet. But that could change if we get too close. Sending a probe to intercept might trigger a reaction. That reaction could be anything from a friendly greeting to a defensive countermeasure. We have no way to know. Some scientists argue we should not intercept at all. They say if 3I/ATLAS is a probe from another civilization, then it is on a mission. Interfering with that mission could be seen as hostile. Better to observe from a distance and let it continue on its way. Other scientists argue that is absurd. This could be the most important discovery in human history. We cannot just let it fly past without investigating. The debate is happening right now in government offices and research institutions around the world. China seems committed to the intercept mission regardless of objections. NASA is hedging depending on what the James Webb data shows. Europe is cautiously supportive. The United Nations has not weighed in officially, but there are rumors of closed session discussions at the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers are going crazy trying to image 3I/ATLAS themselves. The object is faint. You need a decent telescope and dark skies. But several groups have succeeded in capturing images. Those images get posted online and analyzed by thousands of people. Some claim to see additional details the official images missed. Others insist the whole thing is a hoax. The internet, being the internet, has spawned a dozen conspiracy theories within weeks. One popular theory is that 3I/ATLAS is not from another star system at all. Instead, it is a piece of ancient technology from a previous civilization that existed in our solar system millions of years ago. Proponents point to the lack of a clear origin point and argue the object has been orbiting the galaxy for eons before randomly intersecting with our current position. This theory requires an ancient spacefaring species in our own backyard, which is a pretty big assumption with zero evidence. Another theory suggests 3I/ATLAS is a von Neumann probe. This is a hypothetical self-replicating spacecraft that travels between star systems, spreading copies of itself. The idea is that an advanced civilization could send out millions of these probes to explore the galaxy. Each probe reaches a new system, gathers resources, builds copies of itself, and sends those copies onward. Over time, a single probe spawns an exponentially growing fleet that maps the entire galaxy. If 3I/ATLAS is a von Neumann probe, then its presence here is not random. It came to our solar system specifically, maybe to study us, maybe to catalog our star, maybe to determine if intelligent life exists here. The slowing down could be the probe decelerating to get a better look. The geometric shape could be optimized for manufacturing copies. The heat signature could be internal systems running. Of course, all of this is pure speculation. We do not have enough data to confirm any theory. What we have is a bizarre object that does not behave like natural space debris and does not match our models. Everything else is guesswork. The one thing everyone agrees on is that we need more information. Better images, spectroscopic analysis to determine composition, measurements of the magnetic field, if any, radar ranging to confirm the shape and rotation. All of that requires time and resources. But if 3I/ATLAS really is leaving the inner solar system by mid-2026, then time is running out fast. China's proposed flyby mission is our best shot at getting answers. The probe would need to carry a suite of instruments, high-resolution cameras for detailed imaging, spectrometers to analyze surface composition, magnetometers to detect any magnetic field, radar to map the internal structure. Maybe even a lander if the mission profile allows. Landing on an interstellar object would be the ultimate flex and would provide unmatched scientific data. But landing also carries risks. If the object is artificial and still active, then touching it might trigger a response. Imagine a probe lands softly on the surface and suddenly the whole object lights up with energy. Or worse, imagine the object interprets the landing as an attack and defends itself. We are talking about technology, potentially thousands or millions of years more advanced than ours. We have no idea what capabilities it might have. Still, most scientists believe the risk is worth it. Even if 3I/ATLAS is just a weird asteroid, the data from a close flyby would revolutionize our understanding of interstellar objects. We would learn about the material composition, the formation environment, the journey through space. All of that is valuable regardless of whether the object is natural or artificial. And if it is artificial, then we learn we are not alone. We learn that other intelligences exist or existed. We learn that interstellar travel is possible. We learn that the galaxy has a history of technological civilizations. That knowledge changes everything. It changes how we see our place in the universe. It changes our priorities as a species. It changes our future. NASA's silence on the James Webb data is deafening. If the data showed nothing unusual, they would have published it already. The fact that they are holding back suggests the images revealed something significant, something that requires careful analysis and maybe careful framing before release. You do not sit on routine data. You sit on data that could cause widespread panic or confusion. Some insiders claim the James Webb images show the object changing shape slightly between observations, as if it is reconfiguring itself. Others say the thermal signature is not uniform across the surface, but concentrated in specific areas like power nodes. Still others whisper that the Webb detected electromagnetic emissions in the radio spectrum. None of this is confirmed, but the rumors persist. If any of those rumors are true, then we are looking at active technology. Not a dead relic drifting through space, an active, functioning object with power sources and possibly communications equipment. And if it is active, then someone or something might still be controlling it. either onboard intelligence or remote commands from wherever it came from. That thought should terrify and excite you in equal measure. Terrify because we have no idea what the object's purpose is. Excite because confirming intelligent life elsewhere would be the greatest discovery humanity ever made. Both feelings are valid. Both reactions are reasonable. China says the flyby probe will launch no later than July 2025. That gives them 4 months from now. The spacecraft is reportedly already in final assembly. They are using a modified version of their Tianwen Mars probe chassis. Proven technology, reliable systems, fast development time. If they hit the launch window, the probe could intercept 3I/Atlas by December 2026. That is 10 months away from encounter. 10 months until we get answers. 10 months until humanity either confirms we found a really weird space rock or confirms we are not alone in the universe. The waiting is going to be unbearable. Every day, more amateur observations, more leaked rumors, more speculation, and all of it building toward a single moment when that Chinese probe flies past 3I/Atlas and sends back the first close-up images. What will those images show? A fractured asteroid with unusual composition? A comet nucleus with weird surface features? Or something else entirely? Something with serial numbers, something with symbols, something that looks built instead of born. We are about to find out. And honestly, I do not know which answer would be more unsettling. Because if 3I/Atlas is natural, then the universe is stranger than we thought. And if it is artificial, then the universe is more crowded than we hoped. Either way, everything changes. That is the bottom line. 3I/Atlas is not just another space rock. It is a mystery that will redefine how we understand our place in the cosmos. China gave us the first real images. NASA cannot explain what they show. And in less than a year, we will know the truth. Until then, we watch, we wait, and we wonder what exactly is flying through our solar system right now. That is it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.